Let's get reaction from former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, along with former senior counselor to President Trump, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, your reaction to all this? To me, the biggest issue is they were lying to the people of Pennsylvania. He's made a full recovery. He's doing great. He has a little bit of cognitive dysfunction, but otherwise everything's fine. Everything's obviously not fine.
Sean, it's not fine. And may I remind everybody, John Fetterman already has a big job. He's the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania. Right now, he's the #2 most powerful person representing 13 million Pennsylvanians. He ought to be forced to resign, and people should actually question his ability to do his current job, let alone one in the Senate. So I think that's the situation here. If you put aside his obvious health challenges, the lack of transparency and integrity and honesty and humility, the motivators for him and his wife, by the way, so craven to hold on to that power to get the next political position. She threatened Dasha Burns, a journalist. She said Dasha Burns should suffer, quote, consequences, and asked people to go after her, and indeed they did. Meanwhile, everybody was underselling his obvious health deficits. And there's something else going on here. This guy was in a primary with two or three other Democrats, and they lied then, too. If you're Connor Lamb tonight, how do you feel? This guy who cast himself as a moderate from Western Pennsylvania, who could have taken on Oz. And another thing, I see the Democrats right now, because Hochul was so terrible last night against Zeldin, Whitmer was so terrible against Tudor Dixon, obviously John Fetterman was the worst against Oz. They're now going to tell us debates aren't even important, because they need to run Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in debates next time. So watch for that, everybody. It's not just that this wasn't a good format for John Fetterman, that why are we even doing debates? They're not important. Yes, they are. They are central to democracy. And the last point I want to make here, ever since this race became about John Fetterman, he's been losing. But I want to give Mehmet Oz his due. He was fantastic last night. He came with a full grasp of the issues. He has solutions for Pennsylvania. The very first thing Oz said to Fetterman was, we need to get back to civility in Washington, and Fetterman was attacking Oz. So I know 92% of the coverage is about Fetterman. Look at Mehmet Oz and know that he and his wife, Lisa, are being motivated through public service. They don't need the money. They don't need the fame. They don't need the power. They're giving so much of that up to go and serve in the United States Senate. In Pennsylvania, that shows you the stark contrast between the Fettermans and the Oz's.
Well said, Kellyanne. Your take, Governor Huckabee.
Sean, let me just say, I speak as a person who's spent the better part of 30 years either as a candidate or somebody holding office, and something that people need to understand. It's one thing if you have a disability and you're impaired and you're trying to just make it, but you choose to step into the arena of politics. It is not something that is thrust upon you. You make that decision, you sign the papers to become a candidate, and when you get in the arena, it is a full contact sport played without pads. When people ask me about running for office, I tell them the first thing you've got to be prepared for, if you can't stand the sight of your own blood, don't do this, because it's brutal. There is a reason, Sean, I don't try to get out on the field with the Dallas Cowboys and try out for the team, because I'm not qualified and I couldn't hack the physical endurance of an NFL game. What we're simply talking about, and I try to sometimes bring humor into my conversations with you, there's nothing funny about this. But politics is not a game in which everybody gets a trophy. And the issues are not just his health, but the issues of the positions that he took. I heard some commentators try to accuse Dr. Oz of being a bully. If anything, he was unbelievably kind and gentle with Fetterman on his physical impairment. But he cannot be gentle on the issues, because those are issues that affect not just 13 million people in Pennsylvania, they affect 330 million people in America. And God help us if he's the 51st vote on some of the issues that we face in this country.
His positions are the most radical of any candidate I've ever seen run for the U.S. Senate. Great analysis from both of you. Kellyanne, thank you. Governor, thank you as well. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.